Hi guys, welcome to Alo Yoga's 30 Days of Mindful Movement. My name is Aubry, and this week one theme is all about earth. In my class, we're going to be working with back bends as well as balancing postures. For today's class, I'm going to be using a block, a strap, and my meditation cushion, which I'm using as a bolster. Really, the only thing you're going to need is something to use or function rather as a strap, and then the block and the bolster can be a blanket, a jacket, a towel, whatever you've got around the house. So we're going to get started standing. Bring your feet about hip-width distance apart, or truly whatever's comfortable for you. Peel your toes up off the mat, and then place them back down, if you can, individually one at a time. Engage your glutes and send your hips forward just an inch or two. From here, inhale, reach your arms up high, and then on the exhale, cactus the arms. Think more length than back bend at this point. Rotate the elbows forward and the fingertips back, encouraging just a little bit of bend in that upper thoracic. And exhale, forward fold. Let's move through a sun A. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. If your hamstrings have the mobility today, go ahead and go for the fingertips grazing the mat. If you're still feeling a little tight, maybe the hands come into the shins. Maybe we have a nice bend in the legs, whatever works for you. And exhale, step it back. Hold here in your high plank for just a moment. Check in with your alignment. Check in with your engagement. So our belly is not sagging, right? We're not too rounded. Find somewhere nice in the middle. I'm pressing so firmly through all 10 of my fingers that if somebody were to come by and try and lift one of them up, they'd find a lot of tension there, right? So we're fully engaged. Shift forward, exhale, Chaturanga. And drop your knees. Do a little bit of a sort of wiggle back to your down dog, to your child's pose. And then when you come up, we're going to start moving through some cat and cows, but make them weird, make them bendy, make them flowy. I use the word melty. You'll notice that I'm coming up onto my fingertips. On my exhale, I'm kind of moving back into my child's pose. Really, what we're looking to do is just get that spine moving, lubricate the spine from top to bottom. So listen to your body and see what works for you, what feels good today. If I just lead with the crown of my head, and then let the curve come into the rest of the spine, dropping the hips, and then back out of that same pose. So after you've taken a couple of cat-cows, I'd say at least 3 of each. Go ahead and find some stillness. Bring your elbows down to the mat and think like a pouty little kid. You're going to take the base of your palms here and just place them on the chin. Take an inhale, and then on the exhale, go into your throat space here. I like to think length from the bottom jaw, so I'm almost like, is that an overbite or an underbite? But either way, driving my bottom jaw forward. And we're going to be there for, maybe 3 breaths, if that's comfortable and accessible. Deepest breaths you've taken all day. From there, you can take it right into your puppy pose. Reaching your arms forward, I like to tent my fingertips, melting the chest to the mat first, and then resting the chin down. Same thing, we're here for 3 more breaths. And push back into child's pose. Give yourself a little bit of a third eye massage, rocking left to right. And then find some stillness. I invite you to set an intention for this class. From your child's pose, push up to to a simple seated position. I invite you also to tuck the toes so we can multitask. Get a little bit of opening here. Bring your hands to your heart space and close your eyes. Allow your crown of your head, or your head rather, to tilt to the left. And this might be a stretch for you. This might be enough. Maybe you don't feel anything. And if that's the case, imagine that you could draw your elbow down to the ground, or that you could create some space between your shoulder and your ear. And you'll find that the sensation is in the nuance. And I mean, if you tuck your chin just a hair, or maybe you tilt your head back, you'll find different areas that resonate with you where you hold tension from your daily activities. So explore this right side for a little bit. My right side's totally different than my left. I always like to open my mouth, and I get this stretch from my right ear all the way down. Inhale, come to center. And then on your exhale, flip your palms so that your left hand is on bottom, right hand's on top, and we're going to go to the other side. Again, entering nice and easy, no stretching or trying initially, just seeing if there is anything there. Do we feel for it? From there, we start to draw that left elbow down toward the ground while the crown of our head is almost reaching away. We're stretching this space here. If you haven't already, gently open your eyes. Untuck your toes, or rather, if your toes weren't tucked, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Taking time here in your down dog. Let's say maybe your heels don't reach the ground just yet, and it looks maybe something like this. Come up onto your toes as much as you can, maybe as high as you can, pushing the mat away with all 10 fingers. We're as active as we can be here. Now start to ease into straightening the legs, and then gently driving the heels down toward the mat. Wherever you are right now is perfect, but just be aware of it. Make friends with the different sensations you're feeling. Maybe they're new, maybe they're familiar. Square your hips. Inhale your right leg high. Same option available here, coming up onto the toes, finding the extension of that three-legged down dog, and then gently encouraging the heel back to the ground. I find that when I relax my quad here, not locking out, but just a relaxing of the back of my hamstring, my quad, get a little deeper. When you're ready, inhale that right foot forward, place it down as gently as you can, and drop onto that back knee for a modified crescent lunge. Move around, find what works for you. Initially, go ahead and drop as low as you can into that hip, almost like poor alignment, if you will, right? So we're just lazily dropping into it. I do make sure that I'm more or less stacked and nothing feels uncomfortable. You're your best teacher. So know the difference between new and unfamiliar or comfortable versus possibly painful or detrimental. Good. Go ahead and come out of that sort of relaxed, lazy version of that, creating a nice 90-degree angle in both legs. From here, imagine that you could drive that left hip forward, visualize it moving forward in space, while the right foot is actually drawing in. The mat almost wants to crinkle up underneath you. We're here for 2 breaths. If you're trembling, that's a really good thing, I think. All right, come out of that active version. Bring your hands to your knees and lift that back knee off the mat if it's accessible. Maybe straighten that front leg. Again, always working with our alignment First, not meaning it has to be perfect alignment, but it has to feel good for you, right? We're more or less squared. Inhale, reach your hands up high. And then exhale, revisiting those cactus arms once again. So avoid bending in the back or overcompensating there. Still driving through that left hip, that left front hip. Opening up the psoas. Strengthening and balancing, grounding through our front foot. And exhale, step it down, or rather place it down, step it back. Let's do the other side. Inhale the left leg high. If you went for that split, sort of maximum split variation on the other side, try it here as well. So you come up onto the toes, find your extension of your three-legged down dog, keeping the hips squared. So we're not like kind of splaying open, still keeping integrity here with some alignment. And then slowly start to drop that back heel down. Inhale, left foot comes forward, placing it down as gracefully as you can. And the back knee drops. Move around, get comfy. And then just sort of relax into this comfortable pose. And just breathing through it. What we're doing here is we're really doing a body scan. We're figuring out, all right, where is that tension? And then how can I move and breathe into it? And I find that if I sit in this space, I bring myself to my edge, but then I just relax here. I'm able to communicate with my body a little bit more. All right, so coming out of that, we're gonna find that active lunge again, low lunge. So, 90-degree angle here and here. Now visualizing that you could drive that right hip forward in space while this left heel is dragging the mat back towards me. With enough tension, you'll start shaking almost instantly. And just hold and breathe into this space. Be okay with whatever rises up to the surface, whatever seemingly chaotic moment you're experiencing. Relaxing back into it for a moment. Tuck those back toes, placing your hand on the knee. Give or take stacked here in the front and squaring my hips. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, cactusing the arms. Focus on bringing the hands back and the elbows forward allows us to take or drive, rather, that intention up towards the thoracic spine. Inhale, reach your arms up high and pivot to the right. Exhale, forward fold. I always invite you to take any organic movements, inserting them between whether you're in a live class or sitting at home watching your laptop. You are your best teacher. And if you feel the sensation or the drive to go somewhere, to take a child's pose, or maybe to even stop, listen and do you, because it's your practice. So, coming back into our wide-legged stance here, you might narrow it a bit. My goddess pose is it's one of my bigger areas of growth. And so I like to narrow a bit so that I can focus on the tucking of the pelvis. And then from here, just bringing the tops of my palms to my knees. And we're here for about 20 seconds or 4 breaths. And then stand up out of it. Pivot forward. Place your hands back onto the mat. Step it back. Optional Chaturanga here. If you chose a Chaturanga, let's hang out here in the upward facing dog for a minute. I want to talk about how your biceps can sort of act as a heart opener, just as they act as a shelf in Chaturanga. Right? So they stop me here. When I come up into my up dog, I like to do a little external rotation with my hands and then sort of peel the chest open, drawing my shoulder blades to touch in the back. tuck your nose, downward facing dog. With an inhale, lift your right leg. And then on your exhale, step it through. Take that back heel and drop it down. We're moving into a warrior one. Squaring your hips, this might be a little bit more accessible if you widen your stance. From here, inhale, reach up, revisiting those cactus arms again. Each time we go, maybe you find a little bit more depth, or maybe you found the perfect spot the first time and you revisit a familiar place. So this is a fun transition. Take your attention down to your feet. Your legs are nice and straight. So we've come out of our warrior one. You're going to draw those right toes in towards your shin and then pivot them to the right as much as you can. Your hips are shifting as well. At the same time, your left foot's going to pivot. And give or take, you should find yourself in almost the exact same position for a warrior one on the other side. And we'll just hold this for a few breaths. Straighten that leg and see if you can pivot back to the front. Bring it down, step it back. Optional Chaturanga, which I'm going to skip because my voice is shaky enough, but I fully encourage you to do it. And when you're done, meet back in downward facing dog and simply take it back into a child's pose. Reconnect with your breath. As we start to slow things down and cool it down a bit, do one more round of that throat stretch. Just 2 breaths here. And then reach your arms forward, tent the fingertips, and place the chin down right away for your puppy pose. This time, see if you can just inch or wiggle those knees in just a little. Keeping the toes tucked helps maintain the leverage. And then I like to lift my chin and just scoot it maybe a 1/2 inch further forward. Maybe it's a 1/4 inch. Maybe it doesn't move at all, but you tried. And pushing back to downward facing dog. One more crescent on each side. Inhale the right leg high. Exhale, step it through. We're skipping the modified though and going right into our crescent. Optional Chaturanga between sides. I'm going to hold a plank here for about 20 seconds, giving opportunity for that Chaturanga. And then back to down dog. Other side. So maybe you readjust that back foot before you pop up and you're already on the toes. That back leg is long and straight, engaged. And then we pill up. If you find that you're not able to sort of tuck the pelvis or release the psoas as much as you'd like, move that foot in a little or even take a micro bend in that knee. Inhale your right leg high. Stack your hips and drive your knee towards the sky while your toes drive towards your glutes. Option to keep your shoulders either stacked, or I actually prefer kind of opening it up, getting a little funky. So whatever feels good, whatever works in your body. Other side. So it's a stack and a bend, and then a drop of the opposite shoulder while I look up. My goal is to keep my back heel planted, but sometimes it lifts up, and that feels great too. Your right leg lifts up nice and high. Exhale, bring it through for pigeon on the right side. You should have some props next to you, so if you feel like you need a prop, don't hesitate. Maybe you'll take your bolster, your towel, and prop up the other leg. Maybe you're gonna need something to rest your upper body on, like this as we come in. So get your props ready as you get into your position. Take a peek back at that back leg. It's nice and straight. Our ankle's not kind of lazily hanging out there. Draw this heel in towards your growing as much as you need to be able to come out of the posture. And if modifying it isn't helping, then definitely go for the block or a bolster, something like that back in this area. We're just gonna breathe here. 3 breaths up and 2 breaths down. If you were working with an Ujjayi breath during this class, feel free to release that and allowing the breath to return back to a normal rhythm, even if you're winded and it's not ready yet. I'm going to take a prop today and just place it right here under my chest, and then I'm going to use my hand, one fist and then one hand on top of that to support my head. And we're here for 2 breaths. Peel up, take your block out of the way, and prepare to take it on the other side. Again, if you need any organic movements between sides, take them. Other side. Left leg lifts up. Exhale, bring it through. Half pigeon on the other side. Taking a look back at the back foot. Checking in with the body, everything feels good. I think, too, a lot of times you hear, oh, take the same variation you took on the other side. But we aren't really, symmetrical or equal. So I encourage you to explore different variations on the left and the right, but don't favor the more flexible side. Maybe the less flexible side is what you find yourself experimenting with. And then exhale, come down. So you can see I don't need a block on this side. And I honor that. All right, so now let's set up for our Savasana. Place your block at the back of your mat, and then take your bolster or whatever it is that you're using and place it just a few inches in front of it. Everybody's body anatomy is going to be different, so it'll be a little trial and error on your part. I've got a strap, and I kind of pre-sized it, but the idea is that it is just large enough to go around my waist, and then I'm going to bring my feet into Supta Baddha here, and then just loop it around my ankles. And what that's going to allow me to do is really sink into the posture without having to consciously keep my legs drawn in. Then you just kind of wiggle your way into it. And once you've done it a few times with the same props, it becomes much more muscle memory and part of your practice rather than these fumbly props. Take your time getting there. When you do, close your eyes. Thank yourself for taking this time to connect with you, to have a conversation with your body, this modality through which we experience life. A quick body scan as we move from head to toe. We start with our forehead, moving down to our eyelids and our lips, our cheeks, our tongue. Can you be just a little bit more relaxed here and now? Your shoulders melt open and your chest seems to lead the way, leading from love. Stay here for another 3 minutes at least, or maybe even another 20. whatever feels good to you, but never rush. After all, everything we just did, it was to get here, to this moment. When you're ready, you can just wiggle your feet out of your strap and then just roll over to your side like you would in a traditional class without any of the props. As you slowly start to come into your body, back into this space, back to here and now, find your way up to a comfortable seated position. Just take a moment to send out a thank you and an I love you. Namaste.